Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel Code for Tech Solutions. Hope you all are doing well. Today in this video, we are going to cover a very interesting topic, and our today's topic is building a full stack web app with Angular 18, Python and MongoDB. It's a complete tutorial which will help you to create a full stack application with Angular as a front end, Python as a backend and MongoDB as a database. So this video is going to be most interesting and very useful because we are going to cover every aspect of full stack application from scratch. So let us see what are all prerequisites to create this full stack application. As an editor, we are going to use Visual Studio Code. For the front-end technologies, we are going to use Angular 18.2.3, Node version v20.11.1, NPM 10 plus version, and we are going to use Angular Material Library, which is 18.2.5. This is about the front-end technologies. On the backend side, we are going to use Python as a backend language, Django framework and Django REST framework. These are the web framework we are going to use to create the REST APIs. And we are going to use Mongo engine, which is a Python library which will help to connect with the MongoDB database. So this is about the backend technologies and frameworks which we are going to use. We need to install MongoDB on our system as a database, and we are going to use MongoDB Compass tool, which will provide the user interface to create a MongoDB database and perform some other operations. So this is about all the prerequisites we need to be ready with to create our full stack application. So these are some points which we are going to implement in sequence. First, we will see the architecture diagram. Next, I will show you a small user interface demo. Next, we are going to create a MongoDB database and collection. Next, we are going to create our backend application using Python Django framework. In that, first we will create our backend application. Next, we will configure our MongoDB database in Python application. Next, we will implement our CRUD operations, and for that we are going to create a model, serializer and view, and we will configure the URLs for application as well as for project. Finally, we will test our CRUD APIs using Django REST framework user interface. This is about the points and steps which we are going to implement while creating our backend application using Python. Next, we are going to create our front-end application using Angular 18, and we will create a new Angular standalone application using engine new. Next, we will create our Angular material table, and for that we are going to use Angular material library. In this slide, we are going to implement some advanced features like CRUD APIs or CRUD operations, along with search filters, searching, sorting and pagination. These are some important functionalities we are going to implement with the help of Angular material library. Next, finally, we are going to test our application end-to-end through UI browser and verify the response and results. So this is about all the points which we are going to cover in this video. So let us see the architecture part. So this is the architecture in which we are going to build a complete customer system. So in that, what we are going to use, like we are going to create our front-end application with Angular 18, and this is customer underscore web. This is the front-end application we are going to create. In this, we are going to use Angular material library and HTTP client, which is a provider with which we are going to give a call to our backend REST APIs. On the front-end side, with the help of Angular material library, we are going to implement CRUD operations, as well as we are going to implement the important functionalities like searching, sorting, pagination with the help of Angular material library. So this is about front-end part. On the backend side, we are going to create a customer underscore service application using Python language, and for that we are going to use Django framework and Django REST framework. These are two web frameworks which will help us to create a Python web development application. Now, with the help of these two frameworks, we are going to create and build the REST APIs on the backend side, and we are going to use Django REST framework user interface to test our REST APIs, which we are going to write on the backend side. So this is about backend application, which is a customer underscore service, which will interact with the database, and for the database we are going to use MongoDB database. And to connect with the database side, we are going to use MongoDB engine, which is a Python library through which we are going to connect with the MongoDB database and perform all the CRUD operations from our backend application. So this is about the entire customer system architecture we are going to implement from scratch. Now this is my channel, Code for Tech Solutions. So please visit my channel. I have created number of full stack applications with the combination of React.js and Spring Boot, React.js and Node.js, Angular plus Node.js, React.js plus Python, and Angular plus Spring Boot, and finally Angular plus Python. So these are some React.js applications I have created so far. So please do visit to my channel. I am sure you will find at least one full stack application which you are looking for, and you will find it very interesting. Okay, fine. So this is about all the full stack applications. Please do not forget to like, subscribe and share, because you may forget to subscribe or share at the end of video. So for that reason I am requesting you all to please subscribe and share and like. Now let us see our user interface. I will show you the user interface part. So this is our user interface for our application. This is the header part, and here this is the add and edit panel. Here these are the form field, mat form fields or controls, and this is for name, this is for email, and this is for city, which we are going to use to add and update purpose. Okay, and this is the add and cancel button. This is the search filter from where we are going to search, and this is the table, and these are the table columns or headers, and this is the table data along with the edit and delete action buttons, and below the table we have this pagination section. Now let us add one entry using this. Like, let me add one entry. Let's say we can add Kiran as an customer, and let us add Kiran Gmail, and for city we can say it's an Kolhapur, and we can add the entry. Now we can see the entry is added successfully as the last record. So this is about addition. We can add as many records as we want with this option. Now next thing what we can do, like let us update any record. Like let's say this is the John. Here once we click on edit button, the record will get populated into these controls. Now instead of John we can use James, and here we can give the James email ID. Instead of Paris we can say it's in Pune, and we can add. Seems good. Now we can see the record is successfully updated. Okay, so this is about edit and update. We can perform with this edit button, and this add functionality is going to work for create customer as well as edit customer. Similar way, if you want to delete any record, like let's say if you want to delete any record, now we can click on this delete button. It will ask for the confirmation. Once we click on OK button, the record will get deleted. Now we can see the record is deleted. So this is about delete functionality. So likewise we have implemented all, we are going to implement all the CRUD functionalities. Now here along with that we have the search filter. Now here let us say we can search for Peter, we can search for, like let's say for Kevin or K. So what letter we type, accordingly the data will get displayed. Now for R, starting with R, yes we can see, seems good. Let's say Peter. So this way our filter is working for all the data. Now next thing what we can do, like here this is the sorting functionality. Like let's say if you want to sort on basis of customer ID, it will get sorted. On basis of name, in ascending on descending order, it will get sorted. And for city, seems good. So this is about all the sorting functionality we are going to implement. Now last we can see this is the pagination section. From here we can control how many items we want to show on page. Now here once we click on next button, it will show the next 4 records. Likewise it will keep on showing. Now we have less number of records, that's why it is showing the last page. Now here this is the next of page, and this is the last page. These are disabled because we are on the last page, which is as expected. Now here once we click on previous button, it will take us to the previous page, or previous 4 records it will show. Similar way it will keep on showing. Now we are on the first page, that's why the first and previous button is disabled, which is as expected. Once we click on the last page, it will take us to the last page. Similar way, once we click on first page, it will take us to the first page. So this is about all the CRUD functionalities and searching, sorting, pagination, which we are going to implement with the help of Angular material table. Now let us create our backend application using Python Django, and these are some points which we are going to implement in sequence. Earlier we have seen the prerequisites for the entire full stack application. Now we will see what are all prerequisites to create a Python backend application. Like first thing, we need to install Python on our system. For that, if you have not installed, you can refer this video, which will help you on how to install Python on Windows operating system. Next thing, like we need to install Django. Django, it's a framework. We can install it using this pip command. Next, like we need to install Mongo engine, which will interact and connect with the MongoDB database, and this is the pip command with which we can install this Mongo engine. So Mongo engine, it's a Python library with which we are going to connect and interact with the MongoDB database. Next, like we need to install Django REST framework. It's a web framework which will help us to create and build the REST APIs on the Python backend side. So this is about all the frameworks and tool we need to be ready with. Next thing, we need to install the MongoDB database, and for that we can use MongoDB Compass, which is a tool which will provide the user interface to create a MongoDB database, and we can do the other operations using this MongoDB Compass. So this is about all the prerequisites to create our Python backend application we need to be ready with to create our Python backend application. Now, without any further ado, so let us jump into the coding part. This is our project folder. Let me open the command prompt, and from here we can open the VS Code instance using this command. Now this is our VS Code instance. Now here, first thing, before we do any coding, create our Python project, first thing what we can do, we can create open the MongoDB Compass and create our database part. So this is the MongoDB Compass, and here you can click on this connect button, and we have successfully connected. Now we can see these are some existing databases. Now if you want to create a new database, you can simply click on this plus button. Now here we can give our database name. Let's say in our case it's a customer master. My customer master is already there. We can use customer DB, and for collection we can use customers. So it's a MongoDB database. It's not a relational database, so everything will be in the form of collections and documents. So for that reason we are giving the collection name as a customers. We can click on create database. Now here we have successfully created one database with name customer DB underscore DB, and inside that we have customers as a collection. So we are done with MongoDB database creation. Now next thing what we can do, we can create our virtual environment in Python using command. This is the command, and here we can give our virtual environment name. So this is the virtual environment name .environment venv, and you can see inside that it has subfolders like include lib and script. Whatever libraries we will install, that will go inside this lib folder. Now once this virtual environment is created, we need to activate it. Okay, so here we can first go to our for virtual environment folder, which is .venv, and here we can go to scripts and click on activate. Now here we can see, you can see that this virtual environment prompt is appearing. That means it is activated. So I have created one dedicated video which will tell you more in detail about virtual environment, but just to tell you in short, like we can create a virtual environment to install the project specific libraries. So whenever we are working with multiple projects, there may be chances that our library versions may get interfere with each other. So just to avoid that, we can create a virtual environment, and wherein we are keeping our project specific libraries. Instead of installing everything globally, we can prefer this, which is a recommended option. Now let us create our Python project. So before we create that, first we need to install the dependencies. So let us install the dependencies. Like we can use command pip install. First is the Django, next is the Django REST framework. These are two frameworks we can use for web development in Python. Next, we need to install Mongo engine. So which is again a Python library with which we are going. Sorry, engine spelling is there is a mistake. So we need to correct it. Okay, so here it should be engine. Seems good. Now Mongo engine, it's a Python library with which we are going to connect with MongoDB database. Now here the installation is in progress. You can check inside this lib folder. It will keep on installing. We can wait for just few seconds. Now we can cross check the installed libraries using this pip list command as well. So here it is showing what all things are installed. It's a Django REST framework, and here is a Mongo engine. Now all the libraries are in place. Now let us create our Python Django project. So we can use the command Django admin. We can use this start project, and here we can give our project name. Let's say it's our customer underscore service. So this is the project name we are going to create. Seems good. Now let us go to the project folder, which is customer underscore service. Now you can see this folder is created with all the default files and folder, including the manage.py file. Okay, fine. Now here inside this project folder, let us create our one application. We can use this command to create the application, like python manage.py, and we can use start app, and here we can give our application name, which is API in our case. So here you can see it will create a API folder. It here seems good. So this is the customer service is our Python project. Inside that we have created our application with name API, and inside this API we are going to keep all our REST APIs which we are going to create. Okay, that's it. Now next thing what we can do, like we need to configure our database stuff. Okay, and in our settings.python file we need to configure the other stuff as well. So let us do that. Like what all things we need to configure. First of all, we can go to our installed apps here. Here we need to add our REST framework, which is a library we are going to use. Next we need to add our application, which is a API. So this is about installed apps. Next thing, like this is the middleware. No, not in middleware. Let us come down, and here we can see there is a database option. We don't need this because by default it is pointing to the SQLite database, so which is not needed, because this section we can keep for relational databases, and MongoDB is not a relational database. So we can make use some other thing, like we can use Mongo engine as and we can import the connect from it, and we can use this connect method to connect with the MongoDB database. Inside this we can use our DB, which is our customer DB, and next after that we need to mention what is the host, and what is the host, like we are going to use MongoDB, and let's say local host, and we need to mention the port name, which is 27017 in case of MongoDB, and after that we can mention our database name, which is a customer underscore DB. That's it. So if you want to cross check this port and all, you can open this MongoDB. Here you can see this is the port. Seems good. Now we have configured our database successfully. What next? Like we can create our model now. Now to create a model, first thing what we can do, like let me show you it here. in once we create any customer object, like the structure of the object is like this one. This is the object id will get created, which is start with underscore id, and it has a long string kind of pattern, and this is the name, email, and country. Okay, and whenever we create a new object, next object, like it will create similar kind of object id with some different string combination, and these are some other fields. Okay, but what if you want to create an auto increment field, like it will keep on increasing, like customer id 1 2 3 4 kind of. So there is a option, like this is the solution. Like we are going to create one custom field with name customer id. First time whenever we create our first customer object, that time the customer id will be 1. Next time whenever we create a next customer object, the customer id will get incremented by 1. Now it is showing 2. So likewise it will keep on incrementing. So what we are going to do, we are going to create one auto increment field, custom field with name custom id, so that it will show the customer id with some meaningful number like 1 2 3 4 kind of. So let us do that. For that, first we need to create our model. So here is our models, inside which first we can create our counter class. We can use class, and here we can give name counter. Okay, and inside this, like we need to import our Mongo engine as me, and here we can use Mongo engine dot document, because it's a MongoDB database. Everything will be in the form of document. So this is the name field. We can call me in Mongo engine dot string field, which is unique. And this is required. Okay, this is the first field, and next field we can use value, and here we can use me dot, it's a int field, and it's a default value we can set as a 0. Okay, fine. Now let us create one class method with name, like it's a class method, and here we can use define one method like get next value, and here we can mention, like this is the counter class, and here we can use the counter name field, and here we can use our create one constant for counter, and we can call on the CLS objects, and inside this we can mention for name, which is the counter name field, and on that we can call modify, and here we can use assert is equal to true. Next thing, every time we create a new object, we need to make it as a new instance, which is a true, and we need to mention increment value, like how our incremental count should get added, like every time we create, it should get incremented by 1 or 2. That value you need to mention it here. Now finally we are going to return our counter dot value. Okay, so this will return our incremented sequence each time we create a new object. Okay, so this is about counter class. This is for auto incremented sequence, which we have defined for custom field customer id. For that we are done with. Now next thing what we can do, we can create our actual customer uh, our customer class. So this is our customer model, and inside this we can use me.document, and we can mention what all field. So here what we can do, we have created our specific collection. So for that reason we need to mention what collection we are going to use, otherwise it will create some new collection with some different name. So for that reason we can use this collection, and here we need to mention what is our collection. It's a customers. This is the collection we have just created, and after this we are going to use Like next thing, like we are going to use indexes, and here we are going to mention inside the array we are going to use what is our index on, like customer underscore id. Now actually by default it is indexing on this customer id, okay, underscore customer id, but right now we are creating the auto increment field on this customer id, and we want to use the indexing on this customer id so that the lookup process will be faster. Okay, for that reason we are going to create indexing on this customer id. Next thing what we can do, like next thing we are going to use our, here is our customer id, and for this we can say me dot int field we are going to use, and which is like unique. Next thing, like we are going to use default, and it's lambda, and we can call this method on this which is get next value, inside which we are going to pass the actual field which we want to use as an auto increment, like this is the customer id. Okay, customer id seems good. Now we are done with customer id field. Now next thing, like we can create our email id, email field. For that we can use me dot, it's a email field, so this is the email field, and we can say here like unique is equal to true. Next thing, like we are going to use price. For the price we can say me dot we can take integer field, int field, that's it. Now this is about all the fields which we are going to use. Now that's it about this one. Model creation we are done with. Now next thing, we can create our serializer. So for that reason, like here we can create one class inside our application like serializer dot python file. Why we need the serializer? To create to convert our model instance or document into the JSON format, we need a serializer. Okay, so let us create it, and we need to import it from our serializers, which is we are taking from REST framework. We need to import our model which is customer. Next we can create our serializer with name customer serializer, and here we can use serializers dot, we can say serializers, we can use this one. Next thing, here we can use our, first of all we can use our customer id which is a field, and here we can use like our serializers dot, it's an integer field, and we can say it's read only is equal to true. Next thing, we are going to use name. So inside model we can take this customer id, email. So okay, so here we can add one more thing, like let's say it's a product, and for that we can use me dot like string field, and here we can use required is equal to true, and we can use max length, let's say 100. That's it. Now we have enough fields. Now let us go to here serializer, and here we can say product name, so we can see product, and here we can use serializers dot, we can use char field for that, and inside which we are going to add like max length which is 100. here it should be underscore. Now next thing, like we have email, so we can use serializers dot email field. Next thing, we are going to use our price. For that we are going to use serializers dot int field, integer field. Seems good. Now let us create some methods. Like first we can create our create method. So this method we are going to use to create a customer, and here we can pass self instance and validated data, just to validate the data while creating. And here we are going to return our customer object, and we can use like here validated data, and on this, once it is validated, we can call save on this. Okay, seems good. Now this is about create method we are done with. Now the crucial thing, now we need to create our view part. So let us do that. Now to create a view, like we have various options, like we can create a function based view, class based view, customs or mixin, and we have model view set or API view. So I have created number of videos with model view set. Now in this video we are going to use API view. Okay, so let us do that. Now this is the view, and here we first need to import from REST framework, and here is a views, and we can import API view. Next we are going to import the response. Next we are going to import, like there is a status we need to import. Next we are going to import model, and our model name is customer. Next we are going to import from serializer, and our serializer name is, it's a customer serializer. Now this much is enough. Now let us create one class with name, let's say it's a customer list, and create, we can say API or API view, and inside this we can pass this API view. And here we can use, like we can create one get method. This is for get all customers, and here we can pass self, and here is the request. Now here we are going to create customers, and we can mention, like we have customer object. On this we can call objects, and we can call all method, all on this. And next we are going to use serializer, and for this we are going to use our like customer serializer, inside which we are going to pass our customers data. And so and here we need to mention many as a true. Okay, seems good. Now here we need to return a response. So for that we can use like a return, and here we can prepare a response. For that, here we need to mention like serializer.data, which we are going to return. So this is about get all customers. Similar way, we are going to add one more method, which is for post method. Can self, and here can use the request. Next we are going to create one serializer, and for that we can use customer serializer, inside which we are going to use data, and we have request from where we are going to take the data. Okay, so this is about serializer. Now we are going to check for the serializer whether if there is a is valid data, and if it is, we don't need to pass the bracket it here. If the data is valid, then we are going to process it or save it. Okay, now here we can call save method on this one. Next we need to prepare some response, so let us do that. Response, and here we can call serializers dot data, and here we can mention the status, like we can use status dot http. We can use 400 for 201 as a creation. Okay, seems good. So this is the right status for newly created customer. Next thing here, if the data is not valid, so in that case we need to return the response as well. We can copy this part, and here we need to mention some error, and for this we can mention, like here we can check 400, which is a bad request kind of error, we can send. Seems good. So we are done with our post method. Now let us save it. Now this method, customer list create API view, we are going to use for two APIs. One is the get API where with which we are going to get all customers, and this is the post API which will create a new customer. Okay, fine, and this is the view. Now let us create our URL part for this, and we can, instead of writing all the code for all the views like update, delete and all, let us go one by one. Like we can create URLs and test this. So for this application we can create URLs. Now we need to import our URLs, and we are going to take from Django and URLs. We need to import path and include part. Next we are going to take from views, and we are going to import our, like this is create list API view. So this is the view which we have just created. Now we need to mention URL patterns, like here inside this array we can add our first path, and here we can mention the path should start with our application name API, and here we can use customers, and it should like for this we are going to use customer list create API view as a view. Okay, and here we can give some name for this view, like what name we are going to use, like it's a customer list and create. So this is for get all and create purpose, for that we have mentioned it. So this is for application URL. Similar way we need to configure the for project URL. So here what we can do, we can copy this part, and here we can mention. So here we need to include our application URLs. We can use api.urls, and we need to add import for this include. Seems good, we have saved. Now we are done with our get and post coding, API coding. Now let us test it, so that so that we can ensure everything is working. Now here we can run our application using command python manage.py. Before we go ahead, let us save everything, cross check like everything is saved, or it will not work as expected. This is the views, and this is the URLs. Okay, seems good. Settings.py as well. Now let us run our application using command python manage.py run server. Now we don't need to do the migration part, because migration we used to do for relational databases. Now we are not going to create a model, it's a document, so that's it. Here we can use our API, and this is the customers. Okay, now here we can see it is showing the view, or like this is the Django REST framework, and right now it is showing the list as empty. Now here we can create our object, first object. So here we can use first is product, and what is our product? Let's say we can take something like okay, so product name, let's say we can take some, okay, product name is iPhone, like 15 we can take, and here we need to give comma. After this we have email of the client, we need to mention. Okay, so what all things we have taken inside model, customer ID. So instead of product, here we can take the name, sorry, uh, okay, so it's a customer related, it should be name, email, and price. Or instead of price we can take here city, because it is related to the customer, it makes sense. And here we can use the string field like this one. Okay, fine. Now this is the customer related data and entries we have saved. Now let us check if we need to make any changes. So this is the name of the customer, email, and this is the city. Okay, and for this we need to mention char field like this one. Okay, seems good. Now we can save it, and in views like we have, fine, it seems good. Now yes, now here let us go to URL once again, and here we can, now we can use first entry, it's a name. For that we can mention our customer name, let's say Peter. Next we can add email, and for that we can mention it's a Peter email @Peter @gmail.com. Next we can mention city. Okay, for that let's say it's a Mexico, seems good. And after that we can complete the bracket. Let us copy this part. Okay, now let us check by clicking post button. Now we can see it has successfully created our first customer with ID 1. Now let us create one more customer and cross check if the auto increment is working as well. Now it's Robert. Next customer. Now here we can check Robert, it's Robert email, and here we can say it's Paris, or we can take it from US. Okay, fine. Now we have two entries. Now let us add one more entry similar to this one, and we can confirm. Now we can see here it is auto increment is working fine. It has created two second ID with the number second. That means it is working fine. Now let us create one more entry. It here we can take Sam's, and it's a Sam's, and it is from, let's say, Paris, and we can create. Now it is created successfully, seems good. Now our list we can check, it is working fine as expected. Now let us create our get by ID and update and delete APIs. So let us create all those. Now here so first of all we can create our get by ID method at here. And so here what we can do, instead of this one we need to create one new class for that. So we can copy this part, and here we can give some name, like it's a customer detail API flow. Okay, because it is retrieving particular customer data. Okay, now after that what we can do, like here this is the self request, and here we can use PK, primary key. Okay, after request we can take primary key, and after this we can use format, which is we can take none. Seems good. Now next thing, we can remove this part. Here we can use try block, and here we are going to get the customer from our customer dot, we can call objects dot get method we can call, and here inside this we can say id is equal to pk. Now for this id, what id we are going to use, it's a customer id we should use. Okay, seems good. Now here is the customer id. On this customer id it is fetching the customer data. Now we need to create our serializer, and for that we can use custom serializer, inside which we are going to pass this customer which we have retrieved, and we can say data is equal to request or data we are passing. Okay, and we can say sorry, so no data, because this is just customer we have retrieved, and that one we are passing to the customer serializer. Okay, after that we need to prepare a response with return, and we can say response, and we can use serializer dot data. So this is the dot data, this is the response which it should return. We need to complete the try, we need to add except, and here we can say in case customer id is not found, we can say does not exist. If customer is not found, then we can say does not exist, and here we can raise the exception like not found, and here we can mention like what all, here is the details, and for that we can mention, for details we can mention like customer not found, and if you want to add some code we can add, it's a 404. Seems good. Now for this not found we need to add the import from our REST framework dot status. So not status, we should be exceptions, and we can import like not found, and we can save it. Now we have added this one, our update method, sorry, get method, get details method. Now this is for getting a particular customer based on the id. So similar way we need to write one more class for, can copy this for update method. So here we can say customer update API view, and for that we can use put method it here, and we have this one format. Seems good. Now here we can mention our, here is the customer object, customer constant, and for that we can use, we can copy this line. Next thing we are going to use serializer for this customer serializer. Inside that we are going to pass our customers. Next we are going to use for data, this is the modified customer, we need to pass as a data, and next thing we can mention partial as a false. Okay, so this is fine. Now next thing what we can do, like after this we want to check like serializer dot is valid. If the data is valid, in that case we are going to update it. Okay, so we are simply calling the save method on this serializer. And next as is like we can return this response, or we can copy both the responses. In case of successfully updated, we can use this status same as above, and in case the data is not valid, in that case we are going to use, here we need to mention the proper alignment like this one. Okay, now here this is the response, and it is, in case the data is not valid, it should show the errors, and this is the bad request error. Seems good, we can save it. So this is for customer update. Similar way we can create one more class for delete. So for updation we need to create one update method inside our serializer so that it will work. Okay, so for that we can use like so we can copy this method as is, and here we can mention this is the update method. For update method we have self and instance and validated data. Now for this we are going to use, like we can remove this part, and here we can use for attributes, and here value in, we can say value in validated data. On this we can call like our data dot atoms, we can use set attributes, and here we can pass this instance, next attribute and its value. Seems good. So this is the update method we need to use, and here we need to colon. Okay, seems good. So this is update method. Now let us we are done with our update method, and finally we can create one more class for delete method. Okay, so we are creating different views for different options. So this is for delete, so we can change it like this is the delete API view, and instead of put we can use the delete, and here self request and pk. Format is not needed it here. Now here we can use try block, and we can say instance. So here we can copy this part as is, and here we can say customer dot delete, we can call, this will delete the customer. Next thing we need to return the response, like we need to prepare a response, and here we can say prepare one message, can say customer deleted successfully. This message we are going to return after successful deletion of the customer. Next we need to add except for the try to complete the try block, and here we can use customer dot does not exist. If customer is not there, in that case we need to return the response, and we can say here we can prepare the error message like, and what we can say, customer not found. After that we can use the status as an status dot http 404 not found. Seems good. Now we can save it. Now we have created all the APIs, like we have get and create API, get all and create API. This is the customer details, like we are retrieving particular customer based on the customer ID. Next thing, like we are going to update the customer with this API, and this is the delete API view. Okay, now let us copy these things, and we need to configure the URLs for all these. Now let us go to our application URLs. This is for details. Next, customer delete view and customer update view we need to add. Now here this is for list and create. Similar way we can add one more entry. So let us add 4 entries. Okay, now here we can copy this detail view, and we are going to use it here. And after this, like we are going to use we are going to pass the pk, like primary key, everything should be in small. After this we can complete, and here we can say it is for customer detail, and we can save it. Similar way we can add for update, and we can copy this view for update, and here we can say customer update. And for delete we can add the delete view, and here we can say it's a delete, customer delete, and we need to add this primary key as well. Okay, now for update and delete, what we are going to do, this is for update. We can add endpoint as an update, and here this is for delete, we can add delete. Seems good. We are done with URL configuration. Now let us check all these things. Now let me run this URL and check. Now we have API slash our customers. Now we have 3 records. Now let us check by calling the third record. We are going to enter third one. Now seems good. Now it is working fine. It is showing the third record. It is fetching the third record for the third customer ID. Similar way it is fetching second record for the second customer ID. Now and let us update the third record now, or else let us update the second record. Now let me show you inside the database part as well. So this is our database customer, and we can see we have 3 objects. Okay, seems good. Now here we can call the update method at here, and let us copy this object. Now here we are going to update this, like for city we can say, for city we can add New York, and instead of Robert here we can add John, and here is John email. Okay, seems good. Now let us click on put button so that it will add the respective record. Okay, and the object instance. Okay, so update is not returning the object instance, so this is the update view. Okay, so this is the response we are going to return. So customer ID same, we are passing it here. Okay, here we can say customer dot objects dot get, it's a customer ID. Next it's a serializer we are calling, and this is the customer, and for data we are passing the request dot data, and this is the partial is equal to false. It's good. Now here is valid. After that we are saving the data and returning the response as a serializer dot data. Seems good. Now this should work like, okay, so let us check why it is not giving. Let us check the URL part. This is the update view. Okay, so inside our serializer this is the update, and here it should return the object. Okay, so that was missing. Now here, so return was missing, we have not returned the instance to the update method. Now let us check. Now our update should work. Now here we can copy this part, and here we can add update, and here we can say it's a John, and instead of Robert it's a John email, and here we can say it's a New York City, and we can click on put method. So just email is updated, not for the rest of the object. Okay, so here we can say it's a customer, not items, like we can say customers. Okay, now let us check. Here we can take some other name, like let's say it's a we can say James. Okay, New York. So it should be atoms, but the thing is that this is the instance and we have attribute, value in validated data, atoms, set attributes, instance, attribute and value, and after this like we are going to call the same method on this instance and we are returning. So here alignment is not properly done and that's why it is not working. So if you miss the alignment, like this should be out of for loop. Okay, that's why it was not working. Now let us cross check it once. Now it should work. Sure, fine. Now here we can call the update method, and here we can take like one new name, Kevin, and here we can say it's New York. Now it should work. Seems good. It is working as expected. Now the ID, second ID is updated successfully. With this update is working. Now let us take check for delete method. Now let us call the delete for the second. Now here you can see the delete option is there button. Once we click on delete button, it will show the delete confirmation. Once we click on delete, our record will get deleted successfully. This is the success message for delete. Now let us cross check into the database. Before we go to database, we can check the list state here. Now we have two objects because the second record we have just deleted. Seems good. Now here if we refresh it, we can see we have two objects. Seems good. Now with this all our CRUD operations is working fine. Now and we have tested that using the Django REST framework. Now we are going to connect with our backend application using Angular application. So for that reason, we need to our backend application may show course origin issue. So let us add some stuff so that it should not show the course origin. So we have some packages in Django like Django course headers. So these packages we need to install. Now let us go to our settings.py here. Okay, so the package is installed. We can cross check by calling the piplist command. So this is the Django course headers. Now here we can add our course headers, like one entry here like course headers. Next we need to make an entry inside this middleware, like you can say course headers dot middleware dot course, you see course middleware. Next thing, like we can come down now, make sure there is no spelling mistake as such. Now next thing what we can do, we to enable the Angular host, we can add like this is the entry course allowed origins, and here we can add the host name for Angular, which is http localhost 4200. Now our Angular URL will be successfully interact with our backend application with this course with this addition of a core. Okay, seems good. Let us create our front-end application using Angular 18, and these are some points which we are going to implement. Now in one terminal our Python application is running. Now let us create one more terminal for our Angular application. Now here we can create our Angular application using command ng new, and here we can give our application name, which is customer_web. So we are using Angular 18, so it will create a standalone application. Now here it will create our Angular project with name customer_web. We can select CSS as an default, and here server side rendering we can say no, and it has started installing the packages. Show you the version which we are going to use to create this front end application. So this is the Angular CLI version 18.2.5 and Node version 20.11.1, and let me show you the npm version. So this is the npm version, which is 10.5.0. So these are all latest version we are going to use to create this Angular application. Now we can see the package, it has successfully created our Angular application with name customer_web with all the default files and folders, including package.json. And this is the dependencies where in our libraries will go inside this section. Now let us go to our project folder, which is customer web, and let us run our application using command ng-ser-o. It will launch our application into the browser. Can say bye for this one. Now this is the URL we can copy and open into the browser. Now we can see our Angular application is running fine. Now next thing what we can do, as we can see, if you observe, our Angular application is running on localhost 4200, or in real practice it will be running on some different host and port number, whereas our backend application is running on some different host and port number. So in order to make a communication in between these two, we need to create a proxy. So let us create that. We can create one proxy, and we can create one file with name proxy.config.json, and inside that we can write our code like /API, and here we can use target, and what is the target that we need to mention, which is our backend application. We can copy this URL and add it, and here we can use secure as a false, and we can save it. Now we have created our proxy.config.json file. Now next thing what we can do, we can add the entry and this file entry inside this angular.json file. Now let us go to ser. Here we can create one options, and inside this we can add the proxy config, and we can give our file name, which is inside src, and our file name is proxy.config.json file, and we can save it. Now with this we have successfully created our proxy config file. Now next thing what we can do, like actually we need to create the environments. So why we need to create the environments? To manage our different configuration for different deployment stages like production, development, or test or staging environment. So in real world we are dealing with multiple environments to manage the configuration, which will be different for different environments. So we need to create environments, and which is a best practice as well. So let us create that. Now here we have opened one new terminal. Let us go to our customer web, and here we can use ng-generate. This is the command for creating environments, ng-generate or ngg environments. It will create environments for our application. We can see it has created the environments folder, and inside that we have development and environment.ts file. So this is the default environment.ts, which is a production environment, and here we can say production is equal to true. Next thing, like we can mention API URL, and here we can give our production URL, and host name we can give some, like whatever host name for production you can mention it here. Now let us suppose this is the host name, we can comment out it. So you can mention your actual host name it here for production, and we can save it. Now for development, similar way we need to mention our production as a false because it's a development, and here for the API URL we can use development dev host. Okay, so this is for development, so we can give our development host name it here. But right now what we can do, we can point to our localhost 4200. So this is our development environment. Now next thing what we need to do, like we need to configure inside angular.json. So let us see here, if we go inside configuration, we have production configuration which will end it here. Similar way we have development configuration, so this is the development which will end it here. Okay, so if you want to add one more configuration, we can copy this stuff for development, and after this we can add for that. Like let's say if you want to create for testing environment, we can add we can copy this and we can add below this for that different environment, let's say. And once we add that, at that time here it is for development. Similar way, if it is staging, we can add staging, or testing, we can add testing, so that we can create different environment configuration inside our Angular application. Next thing, here we can see this is the default configuration. We can choose by default it is production, we can make it as an development, so that it will pick our development configuration, and it will use this localhost 4200. Now here this is for default configuration we have set. Now inside serve also we have different, this is the proxy configuration we have just set, and inside configuration we have production and development. Similar way, if you have any other environment, we can add it, the entry for that environment. Okay, seems good. So this is about environment configuration, or creating the environment for different deployment environments. Now next thing what we can do, let us create the component for our application. So first thing, we can create our component module, and we can name it like it's a customer module we are going to create. Now you can see it has created customer module. Next thing, we can create one service, generate one service inside this customer module, and we can name it like it's a customer. Now we can see customer service is created successfully. Now next thing, we can generate one component inside this customer module, and we can name our component as an home component, which is a standalone. So this is the command to create a component. Now let us see. It will create one home component with this command. Now we can see it has created home component, and each component has its own CSS, HTML, test file and TS file. Okay, fine. And this home component we are going to use, like we are going to show tables, data, and we are going to perform CRUD operations on that, and we have different filters for searching, sorting, pagination, and we are going to add controls or input boxes to perform the addition or updation of the customer. So most of the activities we are going to do on a home component. Next thing, what we can create, like we can create one interface inside this customer module, and we can name our interface like customer itself. Now we can see it is a customer. What all things we have done? We have first created customer module. Inside that we have created customer service. Next we have created home component, and after that we have created customer interface. Now here we can add our attributes or properties inside this, like customer ID, it's a number. Next thing, we have like a name, which is a string. Next we have email, which is again a string. And after that we have city, which is again string. Now this is about the interface. We are done with customer interface. Now next thing, what we can do, now let us go to our routing part. It here, before we write any routing part, so let us see, understand the structure of our project. Like as we are using the Angular 18, so this is main.ts is the entry point for our application, from where our application will get bootstrapped. Now it will use this app config file, and here we need to add all the providers. Okay, now here we have our routes as well. So let us go to routes, and from here what we can do, we need to add path, and which is, let's say we have customer slash home, and for that we can mention the component, what is the component, and for this we are going to generate home component. So this is for one URL path. Similar way we can add one few more entries for with different path. Like if it's a customer, then we are going to redirect to, and here we can use, we can copy this path and edit it here, and we can use path match as a full. Now we can copy this stuff and edit it here, and if there is a blank address, then again we are going to redirect to the home. What we are going to do, like if we have this path, then we are generating the home component. If we have only customer, then again we are redirecting to the home page. Or anyhow, if it is blank also, in that case also it will redirect to the home page. Okay, fine. Next thing, what we can do, we can remove everything from our app.component.html, and here we can add our router outlet, so that our routing will work. So this is the router outlet, seems good. Now we can see it is showing the home page in which we have home.works component. Now let us see the home.html, and here so this is the home.html, and it has this content homeworks, and which is showing as expected. That means our router logic is working fine. Next thing what we can do, let us design our page. Now here home page we are going to design. First we can create a main container. This is the class, and here we can say it's a container, and here we can add some style, like we can mention some width, let's say 778 pixel. Next thing what we can do, we can add some width, sorry, height. Height is it should be auto fit, and we can mention margin like top, let's say 20 pixel, and we can add margin, let's say left 30 pixel, and we can save it. Next thing, we can add one h3 header. Inside that we can give some meaningful header, like it's a full stack. We can say full stack with Angular 18. We can say Python, and here we have the Django framework, and we can say we are going to use MongoDB as a database. So this is the header we are going to show. We can save it, and here it is showing the header part. Now let us add some background for this, like we can add some style, and we can use color. This color we can take, and next, like text align, we can align to the center, and we can save. So this is the header which we are going to use. Okay, now next thing here what we can do, we are going to use the Angular material. So first we need to add the Angular material, so we can use ng add @Angular and /material. This command will add Angular material to our project. Now here we can add form like mat form field, which is available inside Angular, and here we can add some style. We can mention the width like 175 pixel, and we can add height, which is, let's say, 63 pixel. So here we can use y for continue. I think Angular package is not installed, hence it is giving the rate, showing the rate. So let it first install, then we can add it. Okay, so what we have done, we have choose default theme as is, and for typography we have selected AS, and include and enable animations we have selected. After that it has started further installation. The package is successfully installed. Now you can see the package inside package.json. Our Angular material entry seems good. Now our Angular material is installed. Now let us go back it here. Now to use the Angular material, we need to import some things, like first we can import our mat form field module, and this module we are going to take from our Angular material, and this is the form field we can take. Similar way we can add few more entries so that we can use that in our HTML page. This is the mat input module, and this is we are going to take from Angular material input. Next thing we can use like mat icon module, and here we can mention icon. Now we have added the import. Now we need to add it into import list. This is for form field, this is for input, and this is for icon. We need to add it into the import list so that we can make use of that into our HTML file. Now it is not showing any error because we have added necessary imports. Now let us add input, let's say text, and here we can say it is for our name. Same we can add it here, and we can say it's a mat input, and after that we can use our like mat input, sorry, mat, it should be mat icon, mat icon, and for this we can use like font icon, and here we can mention like for name we can mention icon for person, and we want to show it after input box, we can say mat suffix. For this input we can add placeholder, like we can say enter name, that's it, and we can save it. Now it is showing enter name, and this is the icon, it is showing. Okay, seems good. Now this is for name. Now similar way we can let us rerun our application. It is not showing as expected, so this is our application, and here we can rerun our application. Now let us add, till the time we can add this mat form field. For this is for like email, and here we can add email, and type is again email, and here for email we can add font icon as well. Now this is for email. Similar way we can add for our, you can see it is showing, now it is showing as expected. Okay, so next thing we can add for city, can add city, and here we can add city or location. Let us see for which it has icon. We can say location. Okay, fine, it is not showing any icon for city or location. Let it be, or let us add the address, so it will show, I suppose. Okay, seems good, or let it be city, seems fine even if the icon is not there. Now here what we can do, we need to add some margin left, let's say 15 pixel, and same we can add for it here, and we can save it. Now we can say it is showing as expected. Now let us go to our, instead of 63 we can make it 62 and see how it looks. Now it is showing some smaller size, or let us make as is. Okay, we can save it. Now this is for 3. Now after that we can add buttons. Okay, we can add button, and here we are going to use mat flat button, and here we are going to add button. Similar way we need to add cancel button, but before that we can add some style. We can add some background color. Let's take background color of 6 to somewhere this background color, which is of purple color. Now this is for add button. Now we need to add the matte button module as well. So let us add that, and here it should be matte button module, and we can copy it. Here we can use button, and we can add it into the import list. Seems good. Now let us check. Now here we can add margin like left, which is, let's say, 25 pixel. Now it seems good. It is showing add button. Okay. Now similar way we can add one more button for cancel. We have copied. This is for cancel. Similar way we have added for cancel button, and we can save it. Now for cancel button, here margin left we can take 10 pixel, and we can change the color as well. We can take a red color. Now it seems good. Okay, fine. Now next thing what we can do, we need to add one search filter below this. Now let us add one line break. After that we can add one search filter. For that we can copy one matte font field, and here we can add the search filter. For that we can remove this margin part which is not needed, and here we can say it's for type is a text. It should be text everywhere. Type only it is for email. That seems good. It should be text, and here is type text. Okay, and here we are going to, like, it's an input search. Can add as an ID as well, and here for placeholder we can say search customer, and here icon we can pass as an search icon for search operation, and we can save it. Now let us see. It is showing. Seems good. Now let us add some width so that it will show the text for customer. Or we can make it like 90 pixel, 95, or we can make it 200. Okay, seems good. Now it is showing customer, and this is the search filter. Okay, so we have everything is in place. Now search filter is we have added. Now let us add the table component as well. Table. So to generate the table, so what we can do, like here we can search for Angular material table, and we can click on this table. Now we can choose the table format, and accordingly we can view code. Here we can, and we can see this is the code for table. We can copy it, and let us go to our, after this field we can add this part, table part. Now we need to add one more thing, like here we need to go to TS file, and inside that we have this displayed column and data source. We can copy and add to our TS file, home.ts file, it here, and we can save it. Now for this data source we can use a new Mac table, like data source we can use, and here we can create so here we can we can simply mention the data source, or which is we can initialize it with some order or customer which we can import it. Now this mat table data source, now for this mat table data source we need to add import for. So let us add it here. We can import, let's say, mat table data source, and after that we can add mat table module, and these things we are going to add from Angular material and table. We can use Sims code, and this mat table module we can add it here, and we can save the things. Now here, so it is still loading. Let us see what it will show. Now here we have an HTML, we need to save it. Now here we can see it is showing the column headers, okay, Sims code. Now we want to change it to our column headers, like what all as per our requirement we need to change it. Okay, so let us go to TS file first, and here we can change it like this is the, let's say, customer ID, name as is we can keep it's a email, and here we can say it's a city. Okay, we can save it. Now as we have mentioned for this column headers, similar way we need to make the changes inside for this mat column div, like it should be in sync with this or else it will not show. So this is the customer ID, and we can show here, like we can say this will show on the screen, this label customer ID, and for this like we can use customer ID. Similar way this is the name as is, and here we can say it's a email. We can copy it and add it, and this is for city, and we can say it's a city. We can copy and edit it here. Now we can see it is showing as expected. These are the headers which we wanted. Now here what we can do for this row, okay, fine. Now instead of element we can say ours is a customer. Okay, so we can change the element to customer. It will like it seems good, or it is more readable as well, because we are it's related to the customer. So instead of element we can use the customer Sims code. Now let us go to our components.ts. Now here what we can do, here we can define one order constant which is of type order, sorry, customer. We need to define customer constant which is of type customer, and we can create one customer. Here we can say it's a customer ID which is like we can initialize it with 0. Next we have name, we can initialize it with blank. Next we have email, we can initialize it with blank again, and we have city. Now we can save it. Now this is for customer. So similar way we can create one more constant which will hold a customer's array, and here we can initialize it with some array. Okay, so this is for holding the list of customers or array of customers, and this is the individual customer object we are going to use. Now this customers object we can use inside our home dot component.html, and here instead of row we can use this list of customers. Okay, seems good. Now we can see it is showing the column headers which is as expected, but it is not showing any data as of now. Now let us check on the backend side. We have the data which is running. Okay, now this is our backend application which is running. Here we can use API / customers, and these are some backend data we have. Now let us do here to show the backend data on the front end side. Now we need to write our get API. Okay, so first of all we need to go to customer service, and here what we can do, here we can write one service variable like HTTP client. We can define service constant or variable, and here we can use it's a HTTP client. Now to use this HTTP client, it will not work with just by defining this one. Now as I told you, we have app.config.ts file. So whatever providers we want to use, we need to mention it here. Like we want to use provide HTTP client, so we need to mention it here so that it will work inside service. Now here next thing what we can do, we can write one get method, or before that we can use base URL, and which is of type string, and here we can mention it's API / customers we are going to use. Okay, now here we can use get customers, and for this we are going to use like observable, which will return like customer array, and here we can call like first we can call return this dot HTTP client. On that we can call get method, and here we can use the backtick. And now here inside that what we are going to pass, like get method will return data type which is of customer array, and here we need to add import for this customer. Now here we need to prepare a URL. For that we need to first import our environment. We can use environment, and that is from development environment we need to take, because localhost 4200 we have mentioned in our development environment. Now here we can use $, and inside that we can use environment.api URL. After that we can mention our base URL. Okay, so we can use this dot base URL, and that's it. Now this get method get customers will return some data. Now we need to consume it into our app.component.ts. Now here we can use, now here this component should implement one interface, like we can say after, and this should be after view init, and for this like we need to add on ng after view init, and inside that we can use like this dot, we have our customer service. So first we need to create one constructor. Inside that we need to mention our service, like this is a private, and we can say it's a customer service which is of type customer service. That's it, and we can save it. Now here we can use this customer service, and we can call the get customer method on that, and we can call subscribe method, and it will return the callback data, which we are going to log the data, or instead of log, so let us set the data to our constant, which is customers. So this is the customers we need to assign this data to, and that's it. We can save. Now still it is not showing data because this is our home.html, wherein to render the data we are using data source. So for that reason we need to populate our data source with the actual data which is returned from it here. So we can copy this and edit it here, and here we can say this dot data source. Now let us check, it should show the data. Seems good. Now it is showing the data which is as expected. Now we have two records in a database which is showing it here, and our GET API is working fine. Now next thing what we can do, let us create our so whatever text we enter it here, that should be captured inside some module or some constant. So what we can do, first we can import some, we can use form modules. Next we can import like common modules, and we need to add these two inside our import list, import array, and we can copy this and edit it here. Now fine. Now next thing what we can do, like we can go back at our home dot component dot html, and here this is for name. What we can do now, here we can add ng model, and here we can define this is the customer dot name. Now similar way we can add for email, this is the customer dot email, and we can add for in this is for city. Okay, since now we have added for all these three. Now what will happen, like whatever we text we enter it here, so that will get captured into the ng model. Now once we click on add button, it should get saved into the database, or new customer should get created. Now this add button we are going to use for add and edit purpose. Now this is the add. Now here we can use click on click, and here we can say it's add edit customer, and here we can pass the customer object. Now we can create one constant or function for this inside our app.component.ts. Now here we can use this add and edit, and here we can say it is a customer of type customer, and here because this add and edit we are going to use for both the add purpose, creating a customer, new customer, or updating it. Let us check if the customer has the ID, customer has the ID, that means customer has it should be customer ID. Okay, if customer has customer ID, that means we should go for updation, or else update customer, or else if it has no ID, that means we should create a new customer. Okay, it's a create logic, or it's a new customer creation logic. It should go it here. Now what we can do here, first we need to add our post method inside this. Now we can copy this part and edit it here, and here we can say it's for create customer. This is the create customer, which will take data as a customer, and we can remove this. And here we can say we should call post method, and the return type of that should be customer. And here this is the URL which we can form, and after that we need to pass the actual data. That's it. Now this is the create customer method we have created inside our service, customer service. Now let us consume that inside our ts file, home.ts file. Now here we can call this dot customer service. On that we can call create customer, and here we can pass this customer, and we can call subscribe on this one. Next thing we can use next, and this is the data which we are going to log. And so here we are going to log the message like new customer created successfully. We can save it. So this is for customer creation, and here we can add one error related scenario as well. Let us say error, and if we have error object, in that case we need to log the error. That's it. Now so once we create one new customer, so we do not need to refresh the window. For that reason we can use this window.location.reload method, so that it will show the newly added customer into the list. Okay, so we have added for customer creation logic. Now we can save it. Now let us check how it goes. Now let us create one customer. Let's say it's a John, and let us add the John email @gmail.com, and city we can add, it's like New York. Yes, we can see one customer is successfully added with name John. Now our addition or new customer creation logic is working fine. Now similar way we need to check for update and delete method. So for that, first we need to add action buttons, edit and update. Now let us add some CSS part for this table. Okay, now without, just to avoid boilerplate code, I have added some few CSS files. So here we can add into CSS file. Okay, this is just few lines, and this is for header row class, and this is for row data, and this is for even child, even row on this color. Okay, now we have less record, that's why it is showing like this. If we have enough record, it will show in a proper manner. Now it is showing it has applied. Now what next we can do, we can add action buttons like edit and delete. So for that, what we can do, we can go to our HTML file, hit here, and we can add few more container to show this. We can copy, and here we can add, this is for edit. Now we can revert it. Now before we add a new container, first we need to go to our home.ts file, and here this is our displayed column. Here we need to make an entry, this is for edit. Similar way we need to make an entry for delete. That's it. Now let us go to the HTML file. Here we can copy this container, which is a city, and after that we can add for edit next to city. This is the edit, and here we can say it is the edit, and we can remove this part, and here we can add one button which is a matte flat button, and here we can add some style for this button. So we can say width 215 pixel, can save it. Now instead of width we can use height, and we can say it should be 27 pixel, and for width we can take auto width. Okay, and we can save it. Now here it is not showing, so let us do one more thing. Here we need to add label for the edit button, and similar way, this is for edit. We can add one more container, ng container, that is for delete. This is for delete, and here we can say it is a delete, and here we can add this is the delete, and we can save it. Now let us check. Now it is showing edit and delete button. Okay, seems good. Now what next we can see, we can add some color, different color for edit and delete button. So for edit background color we can add, let's say similar to what we have added to our add button. And here for delete button we can add a red background color, and we can save it. Now seems good. Now it is add, edit, and this is the delete. Okay, now the color is applied. Now what next we can do, once we click on edit button, this row data, whatever name it has, it should get inside name control, email should get populate inside email, and city it should show inside city. For that particular row on which we on edit button, once we click on that, its row data should get populated into these controls. Now let us add that code. Okay, so this is our edit button. Now here we can add click functionality, and we can say set customer or data we can say, and here we can pass the customer, which is a row. Okay, fine. Now here we need to add the function for this. Now here we can say after this, here we can write one function set customer, and here we can say it's a customer. Here we can use this dot customer dot customer ID. Here we can add from the input customer we can set. Similar way we can set other properties, like this is for name, and we can use name, and email, and finally we have city, and we can save it. Now let us check how it goes. Like we can save it. Now let us click on any edit. Seems good. This is for John, this is for Sam's, and this is for like Peter. Now it is getting populated. Now once we modify anything at here, and once we click on add button, that entry should get updated. Okay, so for that, first thing what we can do, we can add one update method at here. We can copy, and here we can use, instead of create customer, here we can use like update customer. For that we need to pass the modified data, and here we can call either put or patch method. We can use put method, and here we need to pass the ID as well. Okay, so we can use ID. So here we can use data.id, so it should be customer ID, and we can add slash, and we can save it. Okay, and after this, like what is there, so we are, this is the update customer, this is the updated modified customer we need to update. For that we are using put method on HTTP client, and it will return the customer, and this is the API URL, this is the base URL. After that we are passing the customer ID against which this modified data will get saved. Okay, now we need to consume this method inside our TS file, which is it here. Now this is the update code it here. Now we can copy this code. Okay, so we can copy this code and we can add it here, and instead of create we can use update, and here we can say customer like updated successfully. Seems good. Now let us see how it works. Make sure you have saved everything. Now here we can populate any entry. Let us say it's a John. Instead of John we can add Kevin, modified to Kevin, and here we can add Kevin's email. Instead of New York we can say it's inside London, and we can modify it. Okay, now it is not getting modified, so let us check what is happening. Okay, let us open the console. Now this is the John. Now here we can modify it with some entry, and let us add. So here API customers, and after we have 4 method not allowed, API and customers. Okay, so let us check on the backend side how the data is getting shown. Now let us call this. Okay, this is the customers. If we add, like, let's say 3. Okay, so for this, like, we need to add update. Okay, here, so it should be after this, like, we need to add update, so then only it will update. Now URL which it is getting formed, we can go to service. Now after this we need to add update. Okay, so that it will work. Now let us check. We can use Kevin. Okay, so here after update we need to end it with the slash. This slash we need to add. Let us check. Now I think this should work. John, instead of John we can use Robert. Use London. Now we can see it is updated successfully. Now our URL and code is working fine for the update. Now it is updated as expected. Now with this our update is working. Similar way we can try for the delete method. Now we can add one delete method inside our service first. So here we can copy this part, and here we can say it's an delete customer, and here we can simply add ID to delete. That is enough, which is of type number, and here we can call the respective delete method which will be returning customer. And here for this data we just need to pass the customer ID, not this customer ID, what ID we have received it here, this ID we are passing, and here we do not need to pass the data for delete, just ID is enough, and here instead of update we can call delete. Seems good. Now let us check. So this is the delete method, delete customer we need to call on, like it here, this is our delete button, this is on click functionality we can copy, and here we can use, like we can say delete customer, and here we can pass the customer ID, and this delete customer constant function we need to add inside it here, and here we can say its ID, which is a number, and here we can call this customer service, on that we can call delete customer, here we can pass this ID, on this we can call subscribe, and for this, like this is the data, now for this we can use like this dot customers. Now our customer list will get changed because one item will get deleted from our customers. For that we can, sorry, it should be customers list, on that we can call filter, and here we can say item, we can say item dot customer ID is not equal to ID. So what ID we have passed as an input, excluding this logic set, excluding this input ID, we can collect rest of the entries into this list. That means the customer is deleted from the list. Now what we can do, now here, just to avoid the refresh part, here we can call, like we can copy this line and edit it here, and we can save it. Now let us check how our delete method is working. Now we can make sure we have saved what all things we have done. Okay, so here we need to add complete the bracket, complete the quotes. Seems good. Now let us see how the delete works. We need to save it. Now we have 3 records. Now let us, before that, let us check into the database. We have, let us check what is the collection for this database. We have customers collection inside the database. So database name is a customer DB. Okay, now let us go to customer DB. Okay, so this is the customer DB. Inside that we have customers collection. Now we have three records. Last record is robot. That means it is reflecting in the database as well. Now let us check for delete functionality. Once we click on delete, it is deleting the record. Now we need to add one confirmation for that. Like instead of directly deleting the record, what we can do, we can add it here some confirmation. Like we can define some constant, like we can see is confirmed, and we can use window.confirm, and here we can say like are you sure you want to delete. Now here we can check if the customer has clicked on OK button for deletion on the pop-up. In that case only we are going to delete this record. That's it. Now let us check once more. Now let us click on delete button. It will ask for the confirmation. Once we click on OK button, the record will get deleted. Okay, if we click on cancel, the record will not get deleted. Seems good. Now our delete functionality is working fine. So all our CRUD functionality is working fine as expected. Now let us implement the searching functionality. For that, let us add few more records. Like we can add few records, like let's say John email we can add, city we can add, let's say Paris. Next we can add Sam, can add London. Let us add one Kevin. Let us add one more entry for, let's say, Robert. We can add city as a London. Let us add email for Ravi, and we can say Delhi. Let us add one more entry and we can stop, like Sachin we can take, and here is a Sachin Gmail, and city we can say it's in Mumbai, and we can add it. Seems good, we have enough records. Now let us implement the search functionality. Now here let us go into our home.html, and here what we can do, our search filter. This is our search filter. Here we can add our, like on input we need to call some function. We can say search customer, and here for this, here we can use some, like let's say filter, and here we can pass filter dot value. For this we need to add some function inside our home.ts, and here we can say search filter, and here we can say input, which is of type string, and here now for this search filter, like once we search the filter, as per the filter data, it will give some different list as in filtered data. For that reason we need to prepare one filtered list. Okay, now this is our customer array. Similar way, our customer list, we can prepare one filtered customers, and these customers we can copy and we can set it here like this dot filtered customers, and we are going to iterate on the original list of the customers. and we can filter on this. Here we can say item, and item or customer, we can say instead of customer we can say customer, like customer dot name dot to lowercase we can take, and here we can call include method, includes, and here we can say name dot to lowercase, name dot it's not name, it should be input dot to lowercase. So this is for name. We can copy this, and similar way we can add for like one for email. This is the email, and this is for city, and we can save it. Okay, fine, so we can save it. Now here we have where it is like search in here. Even if we have got the filtered customers, it will not show on the screen, because on page.html we are using the data source. Now our data source has been changed. We need to change our data source data with filtered list. Okay, for that reason here we can call, we can change this data with this filtered customers. Now it will show the filtered list as expected. Okay, let us check now how it goes. Now we have enough list of data. Now let us search for Peter. Now it is not showing, so we can save this and HTML as well. Yes, we can see it is showing Peter. For Sam or John, we can say for Paris. Okay, for London. Seems good, it is working as expected. Search filter. So this is about search filter or searching logic we have implemented. Now let us implement our sorting part on table. Now for that we need to go to our Angular material table once again, and here we can check for the sorting functionality, which is it. So this is the sorting functionality, and we can see the table. Here we can see view code, and here what we can do, like here we can say we are using the mat sort. We can copy it, and we can go to it here, and here at table level we can add mat sort, and we can save it. Now similar way we need to add here is our view child for mat sort. We can copy it, and we can add inside the ts file. Now we can add import for this mat sort. Now here, and import for view child. Now here we can use any, can save it. Now here inside the here we need to use mat sort module. We need to add into our import list, and we can save it. This is the mat sort, and we have added. Now let us next thing we need to do, like we need to go to table, and here we need to add mat sort header for all the table headers. Okay, so let us do that now. Here table headers, like this is the table header, this is for customer ID, we can add, this is for name, we can add, this is for email, and this is for city, and we can save it. Now here we have this vChild, but actually now here we need to add one more entry, like this is the TS file, and to make it applicable we need to add this line so that it will get, so we need to initialize it here, like this is the sort, and that's it. Now let us see how it goes. Okay, now let us see, you can refresh it, it is not showing. Okay, so here we need to add, after this mat sort we need to add mat sort module as well, and the same we need to add into this import list. Now we can save it. Now let us check how it goes. Now here this is the customer ID, we can see it is in as descending and this is in ascending. This is for name sorting, and this is in descending, this is in like ascending, and this is in descending. This is for city, ascending and descending. Seems good. Now our filter is working, sorting is working fine. So we have seen like table sorting, column sorting is working fine. Now next thing, we can implement our pagination part. So for that we can go back to the table and check for the pagination where it has implemented. Now this is the pagination section, and here we can go to this table, and here is a view code. Now here what we can do, we can check, like we need to use, okay, so this is the paginator section, we need to copy and add it after our table. After table we can add one br line break, or we can add this table section match paginator. Now for this, like we need to add, similar way we can add import for paginator, or else what we can do, it will get, we can go to ts file, and here we can add this entry for paginator inside ts after this, and here we can add import for this one. Seems good, we can use any and can save it. Next thing what we can do, we need to initialize it inside it here, so that it will be applicable to the data, the paginator section. Okay, now we need to add paginator module as well. So this is the paginator, after that we need to add paginator module, and we can copy it, and we need to add into our import list right here, and we can save it. Now let us see how it goes. Yes, we can see it is showing the pagination, and per page it is showing 5 records. Now let us change this record. We can minimize it to 4 records per page because we have less records. Can go to HTML, and here we can say 4 record per page, 4, 8 and 12. Now let us see. Now it is showing 4 record per page. Now we are on the first page, so it is showing the last and first and previous button as a disabled. Now here, from here we can control the number of atoms on per page. Once we click on next page, it will show the next 4 records. Now we have only 7 records, that's why we are on the last page at here. Hence the next page and the last last page option is disabled. Now similar way, once we click on previous page, it will show the previous page items or previous 4 records it will show. Likewise it will keep on showing, and now we have only less record, that's why we have only 2 pages. If we have multiple pages, it will show the multiple next pages or previous pages. If we click last page, it will take us to the last page. Once we click on first page option, it will take us to the first page. With this way the pagination will work. Now we have seen all the CRUD operations we have implemented along with the searching, sorting and pagination part. With this, like, we have covered all the points what we have discussed and committed before we start this video. I hope you must have enjoyed this video, and I will request you all to please do not forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for watching this video.